Do you ever wonder if your cheerleader is ready to perform the skills that they're actually going to try and do at practice or at a game or competition? In this video, I'm going to talk about 10 movement patterns that are helpful to determine if your cheerleader has the mobility and the strength to actually do what we're asking them to do. Today I have with me a former cheerleader. Now you'll notice this former cheerleader is actually me, but she's going to demonstrate the 10 different movement patterns. Because she's me, there may be some movement patterns that are not absolutely perfect, and I'll explain them as we go along and what you should look for to demonstrate good mobility. If you don't know me, I'm Laura Turner, and I help cheer moms teach their cheerleaders how to stay strong, mobile, happy, and healthy so that they can cheer for as long as they want. Let's get on with a demonstration of those movement patterns. This is Susie Cheerleader. She's excited to show you these movement patterns. Let's go! Trunk flexion. Start with your feet together and your knees straight. Bend forward towards your toes. Allow your hips to go backwards and look between your knees. Trunk extension. Stand with your feet together. Raise your arms up by your ears. Lean backwards, shifting the hips forward, keeping the neck neutral. Trunk rotation. Twist to one side around 90 degrees, and then twist to the opposite side. Arm reach. Reach overhead with one hand and behind your back with the opposite hand with your hands in fists. Hands should meet in the center. Alternatively, reach one hand over your head to touch your opposite shoulder blade and behind your back to touch your opposite shoulder blade. Overhead squat. With a stick on your head, start with your arms at 90 degrees, press up, squat as low as you can, trying to get your butt towards your feet, keeping the chest up. Single leg stance. Raise one knee to 90 degrees. Hip should stay level. Foot should remain underneath the knee and the knee underneath the hip. Hold for 15 seconds. Half kneeling. On one knee, with your front foot directly underneath the front knee and the back knee underneath the hip, toes flat. Hips should stay level and even, and the knee should be directly underneath the hip. Rotary stability. On hands and knees, reach one hand and the opposite leg straight out. Bring the elbow in to touch the opposite knee and back to straight. Keep your trunk straight and your head neutral. Push up. From the ground with your feet together, push up in one straight motion with your hands directly in line with your shoulder. Active straight leg raise. Keep one knee straight, keep both knees straight and raise straight up. Use a stick to measure the 90 degrees. These should be equal on both sides. To recap, the 10 movement patterns that are essential to have good mobility and strength and be able to perform the cheerleading skills that we want to perform are a forward bend or a toe touch, which is trunk flexion, extension with your arms up overhead, a rotation or a twist that is equal on both sides and about 90 degrees, a arm reach, overhead arm reach and behind the back, a single leg stance, a overhead deep squat, a active straight leg raise, and a trunk stability push-up, and a rotary stability. These are movement patterns that I've taken from the FMS system and the SFMA system, and I think they're very important in checking that we have enough flexibility and stability to do everything, tumbling, stunting, jumping. These patterns have been shown to be indicative of potential risk for injury. They weren't necessarily made, the movement screens weren't put together to determine injury. They're just determined to see, can you actually do these movement patterns effectively and efficiently, and maybe to say what needs to get worked on. Just because somebody can't do something doesn't mean that they can't do things perfectly, doesn't mean they can't participate. But there may be exercises to help them get better so that they are stronger and actually can progress more. The biggest takeaway from this is, do they have pain with doing any of the movement patterns? Pain is different than stretch. It may stretch, but if it feels like it's painful, then something might need to get looked at, and that's when you should check out your physical therapist. You can send me a message and I can refer you to somebody, or we can set up a call and determine where their pain points are and see if that really actually is something that they need to work on. The other thing is, if they can't do something at all, if they can't stand on one leg on the ground, they absolutely should not be up in the air doing a lib. If they can't get into a squat position, they're going to have trouble basing. And if they can't lean backwards without pain, or with decent form, even if it's mid-range form, getting a handspring is going to be very challenging. So use these movement patterns to just assess where your cheerleader's at, see if they're ready to go. If you're a cheer mom watching this, talk to your coaches and, let them know where their limitations are, and see if there's some exercises they can do in practice to help make them better. If you want other exercises, you can see a physical therapist or a movement specialist. And I'm also a strength coach and a movement specialist, and I help people improve these movement patterns and get stronger so that they can move easier and freer. And that's what I do, is prescribe exercise routines for people. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask me if you want some help. There are always ways to improve, and just because there's a limitation in one doesn't mean that it's always going to be there. There's ways to get stronger, especially if you have young cheerleaders, because then they're just growing and they need to keep working their flexibility and their mobility throughout their life. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave your biggest takeaway in the comments below, and I look forward to hearing from you. If you want more healthy tips and tricks, join the Healthy Cheerleading Group on Facebook. The link is below. And any other, if you'd like to reach out and work with any of my programs, the link is there below also, and you can check out the website for more information. I hope you have a great day. Don't forget, when in doubt, breathe it out and take it one step at a time.